Hey climbers, Brent here. Are you ready to write your best songs ever? Are you ready to take that next step in your songwriting journey? Well, I want to help you with that. Listening to the C.L.I.M.B podcast is a great way to get started on your songwriting journey and to learn the basics about the art, the craft, and the business of songwriting. But eventually, you're probably going to need the personal touch. You're probably going to need some one-on-one feedback, some advice, and some help reaching your songwriting goals. And that's what I want to help do for you. I want to help you write your best songs ever. And I want to help you learn the art, the craft, and the business of songwriting, of how to turn pro in your mind and in your behavior before you ever turn pro on paper. Before you ever have the awards to hang on the wall, I want to give you the mindsets and the skills to earn that stuff. And so we'll dive into your questions and I'll give you honest answers. And I can help repair your song if it's already written but has a couple bugs and has some opportunities to get better. Or we can help prepare your song if you have an idea, a notion, a title. We can do your own private song title challenge if you want. If you want to get ready for a co-write, if you have a meeting coming up and you want to get your stuff locked down where it's the best it can be, I'm happy to help you do that as well. You can see my calendar, get all the details, and actually book a session at songwritingpro.com/coaching. That is songwritingpro.com/coaching. Now, if you're still not sure if a coaching session with me is the right thing for you, let's listen to what this climber had to say about their session.
This review is for anyone who is on the fence about booking a session with Brent Baxter. I have done several one-on-one coaching sessions via Skype and also completed an online class that Brent hosted a few months ago. I have nothing but great things to say about both of these experiences. I am a physician and a hospital administrator. Music and songwriting are two of my favorite hobbies and have been for many years. But as a hobbyist and someone who spends a great deal of time at work and in my career, it can be difficult to concentrate on something completely unrelated, or for that matter to devote the tremendous time and energy that is required to see decent results. Brent is a true professional who can quickly orient himself to what you want and what you need and be that perfect lyric writing partner that you otherwise would not be able to find. I tried writing with other amateurs online in the past, but it never went anywhere. Having the insight and experience of a professional, someone who has dedicated his career to the development of his craft, really makes a difference. If you do your part after he does his, I guarantee you will be happy that you spent the money and the time, and you will be hooked.
All right, welcome to another song title challenge where the question is, songwriters, how would you write this one? In this mini-series, Brent and I, we get song titles from the listeners of the C.L.I.M.B. They send it to info@daredevilproduction.com. Production is singular. There is no S. info@daredevilproduction.com. And they send in their song titles. I collect them. I spring them live to Brent. By the way, you got to put song title challenge in the subject line so it gets into the right folder. Sorry about that. But I spring them to Brent live on the podcast here. And we take 15 minutes and we mimic what should happen at the beginning of every pro songwrite, which is what happens at the beginning of every pro song, right? Where we take the title and then you just try to find 4 or 5 different conceptual angles that are different to make sure that whatever it was that you had in your head to begin with was the right one. Sometimes the first one's the right one. Sometimes that fourth one all of a sudden is genius and you just add a whole new spin before you start writing the lyrics when you get the concept down. This is not a co-write in any way, shape, or form. So take 100% of what we say, take nothing of what we say. You owe us nothing, except we do need an invite. We require an invite to the number one party, right?
Hey, man, I like parties.
Anything you want to add to that?
No, this is just encouragement to infotainment, help you see that there are layers under layers and encourage you to keep digging for them.
Yeah. And we started doing this and Brent, we did a bunch of episodes and you kind of came back and you're like, we've been doing this for so long. And all of a sudden I started thinking like I got 4,500 hooks in my hook book, song titles. And I just went back and some of those as artists and just as humans, I think, we do something, we're really excited about it, and then we put it in this place where we're going to save it, and you go back, and the energy kind of wears off on it.
Oh, for sure.
Right? The bloom comes off the rose, and you're like, it's old, and I need something new. But when you go back to your hook book and you start doing this exercise to your song titles, and it can breathe new life, because that's what you did. Sure. You were taking like super old titles, and all of a sudden you're like, dude, I'm bringing this into my new rights because it's got a new angle on it, and so you started listening to your own gospel.
Oh, heck yeah. And it's been so good for my writing. I guess it was last week or something. I was writing with a buddy of mine. We've written a lot of songs together and threw out this title the title's years old, decade old or something probably, but the angle on is new because I did my personal song title challenge on it. He loved it. He's like, man, I think it's one of my favorite things I've written all year. And it's November, so it's getting results. It's definitely breathing new life into old titles.
What a great little artist date for you to do. Spend an hour and pick 4 songs, the oldest titles you can find, and just do this and see what you come up with.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, and maybe do it with a co-songwriter friend that you have or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So this week's title comes from Mike Parker.
Mike.
Thank you, Mike. And the title is Angel with an Anchor. Angel with an Anchor. I thought that was pretty
heavy.
Pretty descriptive and heavy. Oh,
thank you. It's funny. So I'm just writing it down. And a climber, Jason Goolsby. Hey, Jason. I ran into him at the workshop on Music Row the other day. And he's like, hey, when you say that you're writing these down, are you just stalling? I'm like, I'm really writing it down. And I'm stalling.
Both.
Both can be true.
Things can be true at the same time,
exactly. And me telling this story, that's stalling. So I'm letting the title rumble around in the background. So Mike, thanks for sharing this with us. This is interesting. I like the alliteration of it. Angel with an anchor. It's also has imagery. Yeah, I'm picturing an angel with like an anchor and tied around her ankle.
Yeah,
an angel with an anchor around her ankle. Say that 5 times fast.
Oh, that doesn't sing well.
No, that doesn't. But that's the picture kind of in my head. So it evokes a picture. So that's winning. And so the alliteration, the picture, it's unusual. You don't think of angels and anchors together. So it's like, oh, what's going on here? And it begs a question like, what's the anchor? Like, It opens a loop that I want closed. So let's figure it out because I don't know what's about you, but I want to know. So it's a cool title. A couple of things I think of just in the world where, you're thinking with, in me, I'm just thinking, mainly country love songs, but it could be pop, could be AC, so many ways you could go with this. But a couple of things I'm thinking. One is, somebody who's sick and they're hanging on because of the people they love here who need them, who don't want to go.
Oh, I never would have thought
She's an angel with an anchor. Like she's sick, but she's fighting. And maybe it's the grandmother,
Dude. Okay. Hold on. Stop.
Okay.
So one of my friends, when I first moved back to Nashville, he's also from Wisconsin. It's my ex-business partner. I mean, his mother got real sick and, just ended up in the hospital. And so she's up in Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. And so we had made several trips back and forth for him to see her. And I'm just trying to support him and be a good friend. And literally he gets the call from his sister, like the doctor said, like, you need to come. It's time to come up, Yeah. And so that's a 12-hour drive. Like by the time on that short notice, by the time he would get a flight and get to, because this is like central Wisconsin, this is Wausau. So there's no direct flights, right? So you got to go through Chicago, then Milwaukee, and then some puddle. But by the time he gets through all the freaking connections, it's going to be quicker to drive. So we just got in the car and put the hammer down and got up there. And he walks into the room. And everybody's like, Mom, he's here. And then, he said, hey, I'm here. And then as soon as he got there, like she went. Like right then. Like she waiting for him. That was the anchor, right? To say goodbye to him. Dude.
Yeah. And that could be where the song ends, where the emotional climax of it could be that, it's like almost, you could do the 3-act play thing, where, I mean, if you do the thing where the whole thing where she's sick, but she's hanging on for people that love her and people that need her. Like, I can't go, they need me. That's the thing. Cause you're talking about going up to heaven, the angel thing. So that all makes sense there. It could be so many ways you go with this. It could be the good girl married to the bad guy and he's not a good husband, but she stays for the kids. She could go when she could fly, but these are her anchors. Like they need her. She can't leave them in that situation. It could be that. It could be, I think of some like, or maybe she's my angel with an anchor that keeps me down to earth. Like I'm flighty, I'm crazy, but she's my angel and she has an anchor that keeps me down to earth. The anchor's not keeping her down to earth. It's keeping me down to earth. She's an angel with an anchor that keeps me down to earth, which is kind of weird. You think of angels flying, but yes, she has this anchor. But that could be another way to kind of twist it.
I got another one. This is another true story. So I was in a 2-year relationship with a girl that that I just adored. Like I was in love with her. And I knew at the beginning of the relationship, like she had this anchor, right? She had this like deep seated like insecurity thing that was not good for me. But I saw like what I saw, the angel I saw in her was she was this incredible mom, right? And she was divorced and had this incredibly mature relationship with her ex-husband. It was all about the kids. They lived a mile apart from each other. They stayed out of each other's businesses, and they were just all about the kids. And that was cool. And she was incredible at her job. She loved her job, which to me, that's really sexy when what you do, you absolutely love it. And then she was freaking good at, she was a teacher but like raging, angry alcoholic. Yeah. And I knew that I wasn't going in blind, like I knew that she just had this sort of insecurity thing and it manifested itself in the form of alcoholism. She'd get angry, but I thought I could fix it. I thought, well, these other three, she operates at such a high level on these other things. Like this is a good bet, right? Like maybe I'm not going to come out of it. And we didn't. She didn't want to change. But it was, if she can operate at a high level over here, which requires intelligence and
competence.
That was the word I was looking for. Thank you. Yeah. Then there's a chance she could do this if she wants to do that, Yeah. It turns out she didn't do it, but angel with an anchor. Right. That anchor, like all these things she's so beautiful at. I mean, she was gorgeous and she made me laugh and she was sexy and, all these, she's like wound me up, man, and there's that anchor, that one thing.
That thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It could be like a 95%er, right? It's like, it's like where the 5% is the deal breaker. And you're like, crap.
Yeah. That's interesting. And as you're telling that story, I was thinking like, that's funny. Cause I immediately somehow went to like positive aspects of it. And I'm realizing that's just from years of training of go positive. Let's find the positive thing in this. Where probably the more obvious is an anchor that's keeping her from flying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've just trained myself over time to look for the positive in that and go, oh, it's an anchor that keeps her down to earth or keeps me down to earth, which is different than keeps you on the ground. That's a definite legit way to write it too, is just this angel that can fly, but there's this anchor, there's this fatal flaw, this addiction or this whatever it is that's keeping her on the ground.
Yep.
And so that could be a thing too. And that's pretty cool.
Like in the rock world, it could go, I mean, just think about Black Crowes. She talks to angels. That's a heroin song. And that's the anchor, right? And it's an angel with an anchor. That's another sort of heavy thing, but is
the guy the anchor that's keeping her down? The singer, man, if in a way that's not too like I'm a terrible person, but man, it's that I've outkicked my coverage kind of thing. She's way better than what I deserve, which is, hopefully how we all feel.
Oh, if you're self-deprecating, you're the anchor.
It's self-deprecating. She's an angel with an anchor. It's like the only reason she's not up in heaven right now. She's so awesome, or she hadn't flown, whatever is.
She's taking care of me.
She's taking care of me. She knows I need her.
Oh, that's good
that
too.
In a self-deprecating kind of way. I'm the anchor. She's the angel.
Yeah, like the Beauty and the Beast, like kind of the same
kind of thing. Yeah, and it could also be like if you make the angel kind of thing, like she is a dreamer and a dreaming big and head in the clouds kind of thing, but she's wonderful. She's just a dreamer. And the anchor is the other person who's like grounded down to earth and common sense. And you get those relationships that are so many of those are that way. The dreamer and the spender and the saver. The optimist
which are necessary complements to each other.
Yeah, you need both.
Yeah.
So one, we'd never have any money. The other, we never have any fun. Right.
Right.
Without me, you'd never have any money. Without me, you'd never have any fun. So it could be a little bit of that. An angel with an anchor. It works. And maybe you're talking about two other people. That way, you're not saying I'm the anchor and I keep her from spinning out and going off the rails. But maybe it's like my mom was an angel with an anchor. She was this crazy believer and dreamer, and dad was the anchor, and she was an angel with an anchor. And then maybe you go to the end where she stayed for the family and she waited till we got there. Before she went up to heaven. She was an angel with an anchor.
I see what you did.
That's it's like
that just happened.
Thank you. So it could be
acting brilliant.
Acting.
Thank you.
Right. Jib jab. And it could be too like a little bit of that Reba thing is her life out there, which is just a great song about this. She had these dreams but she stayed for her family. She didn't want to leave her family. They were that important to her. You know, what anchored her.
Yeah, the anchor doesn't have to be a bad thing. It could be like this hugely awesome thing.
That's what I mean about anchor that keeps me down to earth.
Yeah.
Right? That keeps you from getting your head too much in the clouds.
How about the girl? Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm so excited about this title. How about the girl that had like all this talent and had like all these opportunities to go fly out of the small town and be a big deal, but she chose to hang out in the small town, and like the small town was the anchor, or maybe it was you and we have this family now kind of a thing. Or whatever, but it was a good, and now like, here's what's happened. Maybe she got a law degree and she got a big offer to New York to go make $250,000 a year, but no, she stayed at home and now she's set up like all, but you know what I mean? Like you could just, like this person of value that they're here, or maybe she's a doctor and she's a small, like a Hollywood, Doc Hollywood.
Yeah.
With Michael, what's his name? Michael Keaton.
Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox. Yeah.
Yeah. So many ways you go with this, Mike. It could be, like she could have flown off and done these into the crazy world, but she had the anchor of maybe it was just her, the way she was raised. You know, they raised an angel with an anchor, so she was grounded. There's a thing that keeps you on the ground, which keeps you from flying, or keeps you down to earth, which is a good connotation to it. It keeps you from getting too out of your mind. So I think we're about at 15 minutes. So I think we've hit a bunch, and there's a lot more in there too. I mean, that's the thing. I feel like this could keep on going for
this particular one. Minutes, probably. You totally could. This is
because there's a lot in there, and it could be the anchor too that's drowning her. We talk keeping her from flying, but there's the more even desperate thing of the anchor that is pulling her underwater.
Yeah,
if you're talking about the heroin thing or whatever that is, it's not only just keeping her from flying, but it's drowning her. That's the thing too, and. Or maybe it's like, it could be more hopeful going, I'm bringing love and some bolt cutters.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's a woman that was formerly mentally abused.
Yeah.
And so,
or had an addiction or whatever it is. Yeah. It's like, I'm coming to help.
But it's a story of transformation, and you get to be part of it maybe. And that could be so huge.
Or she was an angel with an anchor, and now she's learning how to fly.
Yeah.
So you're kind of looking back on it, and it's like, man, it's okay. If she doesn't realize how free she is to go up in the clouds, because she's always been an angel with an anchor. And now that she's free, she's learning, like, I can go as far and as fast and as high as I want to.
Yeah.
Freedom. Not used to freedom. She still flies low to the ground because that's her past and her relationships she's having to learn to go, I'm free of that. I don't have that anchor anymore.
Yeah.
You're not an angel with an anchor anymore. You can fly and you can do whatever you want. Maybe you're out of that small town where people didn't believe in what you wanted to do. Maybe you're out of that relationship where that person told you that you could only do this much, or a family that told you, but no, you're not an angel with an anchor anymore. Or God never made an angel with an anchor. You're made to fly.
There you go. Yeah.
God never made an angel with an anchor. God never made an angel with an anchor. Like, you're made to fly, kind of thing.
Let's see. These just keep getting better.
Keeps on coming, Mike.
They just keep getting better too. That's good, man. Like another 20 minutes of stuff I can go off of that.
Yeah. So do we want to do our sad wrist slitter about this angel that's drowning because she has this heroin addiction? Or do we want to say that God never made an angel with an anchor and you can fly as free as you want to? So there's a range here.
Yeah, there's definitely a big range. So, hey, if Mike wanted to work on this privately with you, what could he do?
I do songwriter coaching. I do coach writing, and I do song feedbacks, all kinds of stuff. We can help you prepare your song, or we can help you repair your song. I do private song title challenges. Did one the other day, which is fun. For like an hour, the guy called me up. We got on Skype, and he's like, all right, I got these titles. I want to see what you do with them. And we just spitball on like 3 or 4 titles for an hour. And he's like, all right, I'm going to go write them. I'm like, go have fun.
Go forth.
So go forth. This was fun. Thank you. And so you can get all the details on that and book a private session, because maybe you have some titles you don't want to throw out there and have all of our listeners listening to. That's cool too. We can get all the details at songwritingpro.com/coaching. That is songwritingpro.com/coaching. And we'll help you write your best song.
That's right, guys. So listen, that brings us to the end of another killer song title challenge episode. Send your song titles in, as many as you would like, to info@daredevilproduction.com. And please put song title challenge into the subject line so it gets into the right folder, and maybe we'll just read it on the air here. We can never have enough of those. This podcast exists because we want you to win, y'all. So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.
Oh!
challenge.